this is the way we are, and it was actually quite an eye opener. It was interesting because we did a thing on Gareth Southgate talking about this, about England as a nation, and people need to almost leave to look back in on what we are. And football, I think football's getting more and more that way, and it was for me. What I got was, I get why so many people get wound up by players and they look at other players, and I think it's actually, in some respects, what's the word? It's actually like from the Matrix. It's not. It's a line in general, but ignorance is bliss. He's like saying that, I'm eating this steak, and to me this is, it's, I know it's a digital creation, but for me, in front of me, it looks like an amazing steak. And I think to kind of get you through, you've got to look at your players and go, yeah, you're great. Yeah. Because what's the point? Particularly when you're in the start, the season's begun. There's no sense in slobbering all over footage of Alexis Sanchez, because what are you going to do about it? But now we're getting into this part of the season now where I'm looking at it, and I was talking about Daniel Sturridge. We've got 9 games left in the season. We're past the point now where Daniel Sturridge is going to resurrect his Liverpool career. Yeah, we're getting to the point now where decisions have probably already been made about several players' futures and what have you. And but it also means I think this is a good time to start looking around the league and say, where do we need to?
That's it. Funnily enough, I'm doing a 2-part show this week on trying to identify what Liverpool need to go and win the league. And on the LFC Stat Show, we're going to look back at all the Premier League sides over the last, going back to the Invincibles, and look at like the pace, the power, the trickery, the size of the players. And we're going to go really in depth on it, me and John, this week. And then next week we're going to profile players from around Europe and the world who maybe fit those. Because just thinking back to the Invincibles, you got a little bit of steel, you got a little bit of flair, you got Roberto Perez up top with Thierry Henry.
Robert
Perez, sorry. Up top with Thierry Henry, but you've got the steel of Paddy Vieira, Sol Campbell, solid centre-back. Yeah. You had the pacey full-back in Ashley Cole. And then the Chelsea side that went and got the most records in the Premier League, a good mix of pace and power and trickery and stuff. And I think this Liverpool side's lacking a few of those attributes. And I want to see what Liverpool need moving forward, and it's a good time of the year because, all right, we're still in the race for the top 4, but because we're playing 1 game a week, I think the focus now for me has shifted. It's kind of forked in the road, and I've got one half of me that's looking at this season still, and one half that's looking at next season. I think you can keep focus on those 2 things, whereas I think if it's Wednesday, or Thursday, Sunday, you kind of have to just keep ploughing on and get through to the end of the season. So I'm in a little bit of a different situation this year, that I am looking a bit further forward.
Yeah, it's very interesting stuff, and I think it's a fascinating summer, isn't it? Because I'm looking at the stuff that's happening at Arsenal, and I don't think Liverpool are going to have that level of managerial crisis, hopefully anytime soon. But I think when it comes to the ownership and the board and there could be issues where people start to talk about the transfer committee again, kind of thing. It's a massive summer, and at the minute everything still exists in limbo, because whether it fits our narrative or not, Liverpool will have a far easier run at things in terms of transfers if they've got Champions League football to offer footballers. I see no sense in debating that as a fact. That'll do me as facty as you're likely to get, I think, at this point of the season. But how we go about, how we attack this, how we identify problems, and I mean, like I say, I'm cool with it. I'm kind of chill with it, because I think I am that. I'm quite relaxed in a general sense anyway. But it was a great point made by Steve Orr on the Final Word when he talked about Gini Wijnaldum, and he's like, look how great Gini Wijnaldum is. And he was by all accounts a decent level, Premier League level left winger, but when we signed him, we thought he was going to be playing that position. Not one of us thought he's the answer to that left hand side. We all thought, fine, that's a lot of money for someone who we think's okay. Now I'm looking at him and saying, if you could probably pick a name that was already great in that position, and you told me you got him who did all those things for £25 million, you'd be like, amazing, absolute steal. So I'm confident that we will identify the problems, and we'll do some interesting stuff.
The Gini Wijnaldum thing's really interesting, actually, because we were talking last week about the type of player, weren't we, that Liverpool should go after, and specifically I think we were talking about the age and experience of a player. Now Gini Wijnaldum fits a lot of those categories, doesn't he? He's probably a little touch older than players that we've signed in the past. I think is he 26 now? I think he might have been 25 when we signed him. So he's really coming into the best years of his career with not too many years at Liverpool to get there. He's got experience experience of not massive Champions League ties and stuff or anything, but you know, he's certainly won leagues. He was experienced in the Premier League as well, but you would never, you're right, you would never think that's the guy that Liverpool need to go out and sign and shore up the midfield, and that's exactly what he's done so far.
Look at those performances, look at him since the turn of the year. He has been, when Liverpool have gone through their roughest patch of the season, I think he's been consistently our best player throughout that period, and he seems to be getting better and better, and that's exactly that. The performances that he put in, I had no concept of him being able to put those performances in, and we didn't really see, we've seen hints of it at the start of the season and what have you, but I still didn't make sense to me. You see now what he is, and you think, like, what? And the good thing about that, and that I think, again, it's kind of like going back on the points we made last week, is whereas he fits the mould in terms of age, he wouldn't have fit the mould. It's like people would still be adverse to us signing someone like that.
You're totally right.
You know, people would be like, what the fuck? Like, if we went and signed a player from the Championship who'd just been relegated this summer, people would be like, what the fuck? And I'm kind of like, taking Steve's point, I'm kind of like, let's see how did you? I think I agree with your point from last week, is that we really could do with having someone to hold up and go, what? Like, you know, I always refer back to like the summer of 2007 when we signed Fernando Torres, and we got Torres, and once you've got Torres in, it kind of makes you can accept everything else that you're doing in the market. And we went and bought, I think we got Lucas Leiva, and we got Ryan Babel. Now, Ryan Babel, by all accounts, wasn't who we wanted. He was a second or third choice, but we went and got a quite expensive young up and coming player, and we were like, great. And he was able to come in and have less pressure on him because we bought this worldie of a centre forward who was like, wow, the goal. It helped that he was really good, you know, because he could have been shit, because that happens with transfers, doesn't it? But yeah, something like that this summer would maybe
that's what, like, your Lacazette is. I mean, I don't know enough about him. You know, I've seen bits and pieces of him and stuff, but I still come back to it. Why hasn't anybody else taken a punt on him? But it could be that because his name's been bandied around for a couple of years, much like Fernando Torres was at the time as well. And yet, for some reason, he never left. It was his boyhood club. Thankfully, you know, he obviously always liked Liverpool and stuff, and we made the bid. And Benitez, the Spanish connection, I think helped us get that one over the line and stuff. But,
the Lacazette one's interesting, actually. There's in fact, it leads us into a question, actually, on that. Corey Quirk, we're done with these later, but I think while we're talking about it, just said if Lukaku wanted to join us, say we get top four, I think, and that's that picture of a snake, would you rather him, proven Premier League scorer, or someone like Lacazette? The Lacazette thing came up on Social Club this week, and we talked about what Everton need to do in terms of to send a message to the league, and like we kind of almost in agreement that Lacazette would fit that really nicely, because he's got, whether he'd be great or not, I don't know, but so many people are so desperate for him to sign that there would be so much buzz around signing him. And I don't want to sign players that the manager doesn't want and don't fit with what we do, and I don't know enough about him to say that one way or the other. But I would like to see us do, you know what I mean? If he does move to the Premier League this summer and someone's going to have him and the top teams are after him, I would like us to be the team that moves
totally.
For him, you know?
That's it. If other big sides are in for him and Jurgen Klopp wants him, then make it happen. Like, I think it's a big summer for FSG, isn't it? Yeah.
And I just an answer to Corey. Then we did the Lukaku stuff sort of semi-seriously the other week on the Reds News Roundup, which you can find that video on the YouTube channel as well, actually. But for a start, I don't think Lukaku suits what we do. I'm not saying Lacazette does or would, but if nothing else, Lacazette's going to cost you half the money that you probably would pay for Lukaku. Everton are probably looking at like 60-70 million for Lukaku this summer. Yeah, I don't know. It wouldn't be. I wouldn't be upset if we signed Lukaku, but I'd want to get. I don't know. I still don't know who that guy is, but I think we're starting to build up an idea of what the guy is. I think if you're going to spend £70 million, you can probably get someone who does exactly what Jurgen Klopp wants.
I think that's right. I think there's a key part of Lukaku's game that's missing, and it's what Firmino's got. I think there's a key part of Firmino's game that's missing, and it's what Lukaku's got. And if you're spending £60-70 million, you need to be buying the finished article.
Yeah, absolutely.